Today, I'm asking the question, are links still valuable in 2025?
Creating content just for the purpose of linking in your strategy is not a good way to build a healthy environment for your website. In the long term, freshness is necessary, but there's so much new content every hour. For me, AI has been, yes, a game changer, but the game is still played by us. The amount and the dynamics of backlinking is going to stay around the same because Google is not willing to change their views on backlinks. It's us that need to change our views.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Search with Candor. I am Jack Chambers-Ward. I am your host as always, and welcome to the second episode of 2025. It's been a good start to the year so far. Amazing last week's episode with Jamie Indigo talking all about the Web Almanac. And this week, following up, I'm joined by Tamara Novitovic from Bazoom talking all about why link building is still important in 2025, how to build links in the right way in 2025, and do links still have the same value as they did in the last few years. Tamara has a lot of experience with link building, with the kind of discussions that we've been having in the industry over the last few years. It's a really, really interesting conversation, and I think you'll really, really enjoy it. If you're thinking about shifting your link building strategy this year or questioning whether there is still value in building links for your sites, your clients, and your brands, this is the perfect conversation and perfect podcast episode for you. Before we get to that, though, here is a word from our sponsors.
If you're not already using or you don't know what AlsoAsked is, let me give you 3 reasons you should be using it. Number 1, AlsoAsked gives you the intent blueprint directly from Google to help you make the best possible content. You get live pre-clustered searcher questions that are bang up to date, the majority of which aren't available from big keyword research tools. This is for any country or any language that Google supports, and you can quickly download it and export it in graphical or text format. Number 2, AlsoAsked's timeline feature shows you when a topic's intent has changed. This lets you know when you need to refresh and update your content, and crucially, what has changed, what people are asking right now. Number 3, AlsoAsked's API allows you to integrate with popular tools like Screaming Frog and ChatGPT to automate tasks like content gap discovery. Set it up with Screaming Frog and you can press a button to get a list of questions your content misses on every single URL. You can try AlsoAsked for free right now. Just go and put a search term in the box. Everybody gets 90 searches per month for free. You don't even need an account. If you do want to sign up, you can cancel at any time with the monthly account, or if you do want to commit to an annual account, you'll get an additional 20% off. If you're still unsure, check out some of the brilliant case studies and guides below this video.
My guest for this week began their SEO journey because they wanted to make a better website for their cake business. And I'm sure we'll be talking about cakes in a few minutes before we get to SEO chat. But since then, they've spoken at conferences around the world, including a fantastic talk I saw in person in Brighton SEO in October 2024. She's been featured in both SEO in 2024 and in SEO in 2025. She's the head of SEO at the Bazoom Group and a fellow nerd about video games and heavy metal. Welcome to the show, Tamara Novitovic.
Hey, Jack. Thanks
give me the horns.
Yeah. Wow, it sounds so good being introduced in such a nice way. Thank you.
That's always my goal. I know I said this particularly to Julia Bonozzo, who was on the show a few months ago, and it was like the goal is to like hype you up, right? To get you in the mood, like feel like you're the guest, you're the superstar here. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Let's go.
Exactly.
And then we talk about links.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got into very scary topics like links.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of a big topic, and I know a lot of people are kind of talking about, are links dead? Are links the most important thing? Should you only be thinking about links? All this kind of thing. It seems to be a very kind of hot topic in any conversation in SEO. And since we're now, at time of recording in 2024, by the time this comes out, we'll be in 2025, the kind of topic for this week is talking about that value of links, right? Are links still worth it in SEO in 2025? And I guess we'll kick things off straight over to you, Tamara, about what you think is the value of links. Because we've said, Google says links are dead, but studies show that they're not. How are you feeling about the state of backlinks in 2025?
Well, I can say I am biased because I come from link building industry, but I am also very critical towards the industry because I've been on both sides as a link builder and as a leader for link builders and working directly with clients. And because of that, I could see the difference and what people actually want from backlinks. What do they need? And I think this is the main thing that a lot of SEOs miss, trying to get to that Google algorithm perfection, Fibonacci sequence in backlinks and get the perfect score and number one rankings. But if we go back to a lot of the previous core and spam updates and new algorithms dating back to Penguin in 2012, I think, Google is really trying to not put us in a box, but try to connect us more to the users. And this is what I've been talking about on both Brighton SEO and SMX this year, that regardless of the AI stepping in this year and last year, we still need to focus on the users, and also the backlinks need to follow this path too. And if we're talking about the future of backlinks, it will take a lot for SEOs to adapt to the new environment because we're so dependent on metrics, on not only the vanity metrics but also different tools that we're using every day, third-party tools, and all of those tools are just measuring data in their own way. And all of us are seeing this data in a way that we want to do it, that we want to see it, and we just not fix the results, but we are describing the results in the best way for us, which doesn't necessarily mean that this is accurate and this is how Google sees it. So getting back to your question, I believe that backlinks really need to be more holistic thing, if that's possible in digital era, but it needs to be measured in more than just numbers and straightforward data. So I believe that this will be the path that we're going to follow. Maybe not in 2025, maybe we're not there yet, but we're going to adapt to it. During next year, hope I will do my best though on my next speeches to put this agenda out there. Yeah. So,
You're leading the campaign, right? You are our leader against bad backlinks.
Natural
Knowledge.
Yeah. Me versus Black Hat. Yay.
Oh God, let's not start that war. Good Lord.
No.
But I'm right there behind you, mate. Absolutely. I love the way you describe like the holistic approach to link building, right? Because I think so many people are kind of gotten, like you said, into that habit of focusing on how many links did you get this month and really thinking just about the numbers and not really about the wider perspective, about the big picture side of things. And that's been such a big conversation we've had throughout 2024 on the podcast. And I think there's a real kind of idea of you need to be thinking about how they integrate into your content strategy as a whole, how they integrate into the whole picture, whether you're agency side, in-house, SaaS, whatever it is, whether you're thinking about how they tie into the kind of content you're creating. Are you creating content just to build links, or are you actually providing value and helpful things to your users, right? There's a big difference there. And I think a lot of, not to call out the black hats, not to cause too much trouble, but a lot of people got into a bad habit of just making stuff so it would get links, whether it was actually useful or original or not, right? When it comes to those kind of metrics, to you, what makes a good link? Like what are those kind of metrics we should be looking at compared to the stuff that we shouldn't?
So again, I will start with not exactly metrics, but relevancy, how your content is performing from this perspective. So it can be tracked through traffic, of course, and rankings. but only if you look at the type of rankings your like the page where your backlink is ranking for. So not just to look at your top 40 keywords if you're in top 100 or top 40, or if you reached number one for any keyword, but you need to look for specific keywords that you want to be associated with. Doesn't need to be your exact match, but just the topic or just the area, neighborhood of where you want to be is a good way to go. If your content is ranking for 100 keywords on the first page, but those keywords are just gibberish, or something that's not related to you at all, you might be using something that's forbidden, but also it's not helping you at all. It's not helping your backlink, and it can also lead to manual penalties or just shadow banning. Even worse, when you don't know where to go to and what to fix. So rankings and traffic, yes, but take a closer look what this traffic means, and the flow of the traffic. Maybe it's just very high at the moment, but what about next week, and what about the curve, how it looks like? So these are the metrics that right now we should focus on. But from what I'm seeing from the latest updates, and how backlinks and guest post content is behaving, and how Google sees it, and how rewards or punishes this type of content, I can see that engagement metrics are also stepping into the picture here. And I believe that we will be seeing some kind of a hybrid approach in the near future of existing metrics that we track for off page, and also something that we don't usually track for off page, but maybe we track this for on page or paid campaigns, like clicks, CTR, even bounce rate that was just forgotten for a while. But I still think it's useful in the era of black hat and AI accounts and bot traffic and everything, because it's been manipulated with this too much. And if you take a look at these numbers around the backlinks, you can spot easily how these backlinks will build, and if these users or user engagements are fake. So this leads me to my belief that the in my world, in a perfect world for me, the best metric for backlinks would be the impact tracking or impact score. How much your backlink impacts your website, the website where it's placed at, how much real engagement it brings, and how long this engagement lasts. So I think I hope we will get there. But for now, these are my main areas to focus on.
Yeah, I love the way you think about that impact. That kind of paints the whole picture for me. There's where I think, again, so many people think about just getting a number of links or getting a link from a high authority site or whatever it is. Factoring in things like traffic was something I had a conversation with a client, I want to say a year ago or so at this point. We were creating content for them, and we'd acquired natural links through content. It was not just kind of like a push for digital PR and stuff like that. We found that one of our pieces of content was getting referenced in a lot of other places. And I introduced my client to the concept of referral traffic. They had no idea that was even a thing. I was like, oh yeah, you can filter through analytics and see and find this stuff, and you can really see the increase here. And I think, again, that kind of conversation of people just focusing on the SEO side of things, if you just filter, you go into your GA4 and just filter by organic search, you're missing out on all that potential referral traffic stuff that you might be bringing in through those links. And really well said there as well. I think that CTR, that engagement rate, all that kind of stuff matters so much to, like you said, when we talk about ads and stuff, right? That's the kind of data people really focus on. How many people are clicking on your ad and coming to your site? How many people are arriving on that landing page? Why don't we have the same conversation with links? It's a similar kind of third-party link, for want of a better phrase, an external link coming to your site. So Granted, you can't get exact data necessarily from the person linking to you. You're not going to necessarily have access to their analytics, so you can just get the CTR straight away. But I think there's a big point there about that kind of, again, the shift towards UX, the shift towards user engagement that we're seeing in SEO should be applied to backlinking as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I really like that other SEOs are embracing this idea, and not everyone is stuck at, the thing that we've been doing for the last, 15 years, So I'm happy to hear this from you as well, even though I know we share a lot of common things, but we are from different sides of SEO, and I'm just from the off page, and I'm in a very competitive markets as well. And you might think I'm also doing some black hat, but it's not that black and white to say. But I really like the people from different industries in SEO from different markets are forming a similar opinion based on their everyday work and what the practice shows, not just Google updates, Google documents, and then LinkedIn posts, and what this expert is doing, what this. Until you start practicing your own ideas, you never know. And I'm very happy to see that people are starting to realize backlinks are also a UX tool, as you said, one of the UX factors that can significantly impact the rankings, regardless of what Google says every year.
I was at the I think it was Gary Eash that said it's no longer a top 3 ranking factor or something like that, and everybody freaked out, right? It was the classic kind of thing. As soon as anybody from Google says anything about links, everybody loses their mind and freaks out and realizes that, right, we need to stop all of our link building campaigns, we need to cut all ties with any potential link building. But I think when it comes to a lot of what Google talks about with the WEAT side of things, building that trust and the authoritativeness and bringing that, the latest one, the first-hand experience side of things, and proving yourself as an expert, a lot of that stuff comes back to exactly as you said, Tamara, like the original SEO stuff from 15, 20 years ago, where it's all about PageRank. It's all about proving, getting that kind of signal, that little vouch, that little tick from somebody else saying, actually, yeah, this site is good, it's worth mentioning, it's worth linking to, whatever. There's that element of trustworthy people, for a better phrase, rather than sites referencing other trustworthy people. Like you said, you and I are from very different backgrounds in terms, I can't bake a cake to save my life, but you're very, very good at baking cakes. And we're from different sides of the SEO side of things as well. And I think there's that element of where a lot of people see it in terms of that kind of link building thing of like, oh, it's one or the other. You have to build all your links or not bother. But I think there's a nice little sweet spot in the middle there where you can kind of show it to prove the authority of your content and prove that you are an expert. And like I mentioned, a client of mine did some great content like a year or so ago and was getting natural links from it because they had proved that they knew what they were talking about and shown that other people wanted to talk about this thing. It's like, oh yeah, they clearly know what they're talking about. Let's reference them. If you want to learn more, click here, whatever, that kind of stuff. For you, when it comes to that strategic side of things, is that something you're going into it from a link building perspective? You thinking about the content and how that kind of builds a bigger picture of the site, the authoritativeness and trust and all that kind of thing?
Content as in content for the guest post or my own content that I want to link to? Both, yeah.
Bit of both, yeah.
Everything. Yes, of course. I used to work with big SaaS brands in my early SEO career. And I remember one of them had a major down spiral because they started this very aggressive content strategy back in 2019, 20, when you remember content is king. That was the popular phrase. and, and then they just started doing blog posts that are specifically meant for link building purposes, but not the natural links that you mentioned, that you create such a good piece of blog that everybody wants to link to it and to share it with other people. No, they created this blog post primarily to build links in a strategy for this piece, like overused exact match keywords, and just fixed everything in a very plastic way to me. And unfortunately, from a very good and strong SaaS blog, they just went down because they use this type of tactic on more blog posts, and they neglected their previous strategy for blog that was very good at the time. And then everything just went down. And no matter how strong backlinks I've built for them, and no matter the DRs and the relevancy and everything, it was just the opposite of what they were doing when they were doing it good. So I think that creating content just for the purpose of linking in your strategy is not a good way to build a healthy environment for your website in a long term. Maybe it's going to work for a few months. It's going to be good, but you will have some issues afterwards, and it's going to take more time to fix it. I believe that satisfying both sides, both your guest post and your blog post that you want to link, or your service page or whatever you're linking, I think it needs to be in a balance first. And if one is too salesy, the other one is going to lose authority because of that. We could see with the helpful content updates that Google is very focused on this, maybe even more than on spam and spam links. So creating this content that it's not too much, but also serves the purpose and gives you a chance to link as natural as possible. I think it's the way to go, at least from what I've been implementing in the strategies. So looking into relevancy of the website, what kind of keyword the website is ranking for as well, also impacts how your content is going to perform on the website. So it's another layer. So it's not just about the text you have on the page, but also everything around that's on page. So it's going to be interesting to see this. Also, I just did a research last month because we started implementing interactive elements and visuals into content more, not just expanding the number of words for regular like everyday backlinks, but also putting these like infographics or embedding the YouTube videos that are relevant for the topic. And we could see an increase in rankings for the guest post, which is not usually it's not usually happening with shorter content or something that most of the clients would pay for, specifically not especially not for AI content. So we can see some signs that when you try more and when you go into more details, when you dedicate a bit more time, it's not 2 days extra. It's just maybe 20 minutes extra of research that will give you just a little bit of a different angle and a more understanding about how to fit this content, not only with the client's page, but also with the media. It goes very long way and gives you much more value currently. So
Yeah, definitely. I love that idea of doing like almost like a content gap analysis on the media side of things, on the publication side of things. Because I think most viewers and listeners, I'm sure, are familiar with that content gap phrase for competitors, right? You would think about your own site. Oh, I'm coming up with new ideas for blog posts, for new content. I'm going to do a content gap on my client's website, or have a look at the industry as a whole and see what my competitors are doing and see if there are any gaps there. But bringing it to the publication side of things, I think is a really cool way of thinking about it, because you're more likely to then think about the kind of things you can pitch to them, right? Whether that's guest posting, whether that's the digital PR side of things. I think understanding what the other side, what the journalists, what the writers, what the sites on the other side of things are looking for makes you way more likely to get accepted and to work with them. And we've even had instances where we were working with a particular publication and they were like, okay, if you have any more of this content in the future, come to us first. And you become that like trusted source, right? You build that relationship, because again, old school marketing thing, it's all about relationships. It's all about people talking to each other at the end of the day, as much as it is how search engines understand the sites. It's going to be whether users feel like that content feels right on that site. Like, I think there's a right and wrong way to do guest posting, and it's gotten a lot of bad rap over the years. But I think there is genuinely a lot of good ideas, exactly as you're saying there, to make it feel like it's more integrated and relevant to that audience. And if they realize like, oh yeah, I saw Tamara write about this thing, she clearly knows what she's talking about because I saw her on this site and then I saw her again on this site, you're building that brand awareness as well. You're again building that relationship with the readers or the viewers in terms of in video content. And I love what you said about the interactivity side of things as well. Thinking outside of just here's 600 words, throwing it at people and hoping for the best. Infographics, I think, have seen a lot of success. I totally agree with you. I think they're really, really handy to help people visualize data that creates that like shareable element as well. If you want to get into the whole social media side of things, have you found that's kind of been a growing strategy to incorporate video and infographics and interactable elements? Is that something clients are looking for? Is that something you're kind of saying, hey, by the way, clients, you should be doing this?
Yes, actually, yes. We've been testing it out for a few months and already implementing for one of the biggest clients that we have. And they were so on board with this just because we showed the impact that we tested out. And we were very happy because it's a competitive niche. I'm not going to say which one, but a lot of the money and a lot of ROIs are floating around in every meeting. So, it has to be, it has to bring results, not necessarily fast, but we need to show that it actually works. And looking into our competition, also, I didn't see a lot of people doing it at the moment. So it was a good moment to test out and do exactly what I want with the content and work with the writers in specific ways. Tailoring the maybe not the template, but looking into how many words can vary. It can carry one or two infographics, or can carry one large YouTube video. Maybe people will not click on the client's link. Maybe they will go straight to the YouTube video to continue their user journey. So it took a while to figure out how it works and what to put, how much to put in let's say 2,000 words or whatever. But it's not only about the social repost that you mentioned about the infographics. You could also get real backlinks or reposts on other blogs just by integrating the infographic. Of course, it needs to be high quality and shareable everywhere, but then you incorporate more, expand your team with people that are doing visuals, that know the industry that you're doing the infographics for. So it's also tailored to the user from this side too. So it's not only the writer that needs to know what the user wants, but also the guys from the graphics, the guys from my side as well when I do the keyword research. So I really like this type of content because 2 or 3 people are working on one article, not just um, today AI or a person with prompts. Used to be a real writer, but you know what I mean. So I really like this because we are getting back to a good old technical work. Like I'm a nerd. I like to go into, um, to learn things to the core and to understand, and as much as theory as possible, test this, test that. And I really like this new approach, and I'm really excited to start promoting it soon in 2025. And I hope that it will become a new form, like a new format of page content. So let's see. Keep your thumbs crossed for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of kind of future proofing it a little bit rather than following the trends, actually carving out your own niche and understanding like, yeah, maybe not enough of our competitors are doing this thing. Let's try something new. Let's try a new strategy. Let's push it in a particular direction. Because I feel like a lot of brands are maybe too comfortable or too nervous or too shy to kind of push themselves out there and try something different. It's like, oh, we've been doing, 600 to 1,000 words in a blog post every week for the last 5 years, and that's working fine. So let's keep it all safe and normal. But I think there is a lot of value in trying something new and stepping outside of the box and trying. I know, again, having conversations. I'm doing a lot of video content these days. I'm basically like a full-time video editor at this point, despite being hired as an SEO 3 years ago. Because of the podcast, because of the social posts and all this kind of stuff, I'm doing a lot of video content. And it feels like there's been a real shift towards a lot of that stuff when it comes to brands getting out there, creating stuff. It doesn't just have to be the old school text on the screen. There are loads of different ways to do it, and I've even seen people like creating like little like web games and stuff like that, and little cool interactive kind of things that are just feel a bit different and are way more likely, like you said, to get shared by other publications. You then get that kind of cascade and spin-off of like, oh, this was covered by one big publication, so suddenly all of the smaller ones are also like, well, if they covered it, then we should probably talk about it as well. And then you suddenly get that, like you said, gathering those real backlinks just from being shareable and being, you often see this around kind of like memes and jokes and stuff, right? Or April Fool's Day and all that kind of stuff. Like I know Mark talked about an example, I think it was for Expedia off the top of my head. They did a like holidays to space or holidays to Mars or something like that as a joke like 10 years ago. And every April Fool's, that video comes back round again and gains them a few more backlinks, still 10 years later. And exactly as what you're saying there, Tamara, you can see that kind of long-term strategy, the long-term growth. Don't just create something that's going to be old in a week or two. You can create something that is still feels modern, looks modern, is relevant, and then contributes in a way that feels fresh and new. I think freshness is a hot topic, is a buzzword at the moment that a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah. I agree completely, and I think freshness is necessary. But there's so much new content every hour, not every day, but every hour, and it just needs to stand out, not only to be fresh, but to stand out as well. So, but interesting thing you said about natural links. I have a theory that there are no natural links that bring like a ranking signal or ranking value. So like not completely that there are no natural links, but we see through the history and the practice today, we see that most of the backlinks are generated by us in some way. And we, even when we have natural links coming in from unknown websites, it's still because of the content that we created with the purpose of getting those natural links. So, when you look at from this perspective, nothing is real or
Nothing is real on the internet anymore.
yeah,
That's
that
your
sounds very
theory.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very dark, but you know what I mean. It's just that um, we can do whatever we want with the backlinks, and if we do it the way that tailors to the user, as I said, I believe that it's going to bring value 100%. And
Yeah.
looking into Google guidelines and all Gary's and John's updates and Google Search Central retweets. I think it's good to follow this, but the practice shows different. The reality is a bit different from what we see. So content freshness, relevant backlinks, tailoring content with different elements, testing out. This is the way that works for us. So getting those little updates from Google guys is good to keep you in the right direction, but it's still the path you're going. It still needs to be built by you and by your clients and other websites. So
Yeah, 100%. I think there's, like you said, there seems to be, again, not to anger the black hats or anything, but there's like you said, it's very black and white, right? You get the people who are like, always listen to Google, everything is correct, you know, that they are speaking the gospel, it is the word of God from Google himself kind of thing. Or it's don't trust Google, they're all liars. Oh, they're just trying to make money and steal all the content from you and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot of room in that grey area where hopefully the rest of us normal people can kind of exist in between the black and white. And you're totally right. Taking what Google says as kind of a direction, kind of a signpost, kind of a guideline is the right way to go about it, in my opinion, as well. I totally agree with you. There's that element of, like you said, if you stuck to it too much, on one side, Google will say, oh, guest posting is terrible. And the next one will say, oh, well, if you're posting on this, and then literally the next article talks about why guest posting can be a good thing, or why links are dead, and then how important links are, and all this kind of stuff. There's never going to be a definitive answer from the Google side of things, and there's never going to be a definitive answer apart from, exactly as you said, your own stuff, your own data. What is your site telling? What is the data telling? What are your studies and experiments and all that kind of stuff? That's why I love so much of the SEO community doing cool experiments and trying new things. And oh, by the way, we tried this. You mentioned your study you did recently as well. Like, oh, we tried this new method. Turns out it increases the click-through rate. It changes this. It increased rankings. Actually having data to communicate can make a huge difference, especially when you're having those conversations with clients, as you said. Like when you're talking to that big client and trying to get them to buy into something new, if you can have that data behind you to prove, rather than, well, Google said this, so we should probably do this, that's not very convincing. In my opinion, you're not exactly coming from a place of confidence of like, I saw it on Twitter the other day, so we should probably change your entire strategy. You say, we have done the work and the study and we can prove it, that's gold right there. That's convincing arguments right there.
and hanging out with people like you, Mark, and people from Brighton, I got this this way of thinking more than I used to have before. You know, before I was very technical. I was just holding for my high standards that were doing a good job, of course, but practice is different. You know, reality, as we said, it's a bit different. You can have high standards, but sometimes it's not enough to, do the job. So also working with clients from a lot of different industries and the countries as well, you get to see their point of view and how they listen to Google or don't listen to Google or listen to this tool or this tool. And then you, when you work with so many informations and you constantly doubt even yourself and and what is even true anymore, what actually works. But then you go back to your ways and then you test as we said. And when you finally have something to show and you have some results, then you can become a trendsetter, or you can become a voice in the industry, not just somebody that reads what people are reposting, or believing everything that big SEO blogs are posting for clickbaits, and then taking it too seriously sometimes. Yeah, but everything that you do, it's in your own hands, and that's what I learned from working with so many backlinks every day. Yeah, it's so much data.
The data is where the juicy stuff is, right? I think that's where, like we said, I think too many people focus on the external numbers and not maybe looking at those internal numbers as well, and actually getting your hands dirty and getting into the data and having a look at all that kind of stuff. And you mentioned Brighton, and I attended your talk at Brighton and briefly got to say hello, loved your talk,
Yes.
ran away.
Yeah, the start of a lovely friendship.
Exactly. That's why you're here right now, right? I'm
Thank
glad
you.
I said something. And I think there's that. The thing that I took away from a lot of your talk in Brighton was obviously talking about the AI side of things, and it is an unavoidable topic now in SEO. We can't do an entire podcast without mentioning AI somewhere. But I think what really stood out to me in your talk, because I kind of went in thinking like, okay, this could be anything, because a lot of people are talking about how to really automate a load of stuff and again, kind of the non-holistic way, as you put it earlier. But I think the way you were kind of approaching it for a lot of that data analysis kind of stuff, and I know you talk about the similar kind of thing in SEO in 2025, there's that way of making your job a little bit easier and a bit smoother and a bit quicker without losing that holistic approach and that human touch, right? For me, that I hope I'm interpreting, and also lots of like gifts from the Matrix and stuff, which I always appreciate.
It was the necessary in the AI topic to put Matrix references.
Of course, we've got to fight the machines.
always. But first use them and then fight them. Like in Dune as well.
There you go. Perfect example.
Yeah. But thank you for hearing my talk in the way that I wanted to, because that was also my goal with this talk. Some people approached me afterwards and told me that it's a bit too broad. We already know how to use these tools. We already know what they do with AI. And I said, okay, I know you know this. And I know what kind of people come to Brighton SEO. It's not just, beginners or, they're the people that have way more experience than me. And I'm okay with that. But my talk was more about how to use those tools in a way to not manipulate the data and just automate everything for the sake of automation and just saying that you're using AI, but to do it for something useful and something that will just make it easier for you to spend more time thinking about the users and how your strategy is going to be long-term with or without AI. So that was the main point. Maybe 20 minutes was too short to explain this, but there are still people that realize this. And I think the type of people that have the same opinion as you are the ones that are going to use AI in a holistic way. It may sound, funny saying AI and holistic in the same sentence, but this is, if we're going to live with AI, we're going to have to use it to get holistic things. So, I think that was my point there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that we're kind of fighting back against the unethical AI stuff, right? I always feel like I hold off on that kind of stuff as long as I can. And it really got to the point where it's like, I kind of need to think about how I'm going to use this, because I know something you mentioned in your talk and what a lot of other people are talking about, whether you're doing content or link building or technical analysis or whatever it is, everyone else is using AI to speed up processes, to improve your workflow, to become more efficient and automate a bunch of stuff. So if you're doing all this stuff manually and you're literally competing against somebody who can do say a tech audit or whatever it is of a site in 5 hours compared to your 20 hours because you're manually doing everything, chances are the client's going to go with the person who can do it quicker. And if they can prove they can do it well, as we're saying, if you've got the data to back yourself up either way and it's a level playing field, you're going to get left behind. And you kind of need to embrace that kind of stuff. You kind of need to be aware of how you can use it in a positive way. I've been doing stuff on the podcast, for example, like highlighting social media clips. You can use I use a tool called Descript, which will transcribe it all and then pick out like, oh, we think this is a nice topic, Tamara spoke about this thing and that's why it will be relevant to people or whatever, that kind of thing. It doesn't do all the job for me. I'm still manually going in and editing and making sure it all makes sense and adding and cutting bits, and it's not making the final decision. But it speeds up that process of me going through, scrolling manually through and picking everything. And I think the same is true from content creation, right? I know you talked about trend analysis. I think that's a really, really great way, because if there's one thing computers are really bloody good at, it's understanding data and getting trends and stuff, right? Could you talk a little bit more about the process there?
Yes. And that was one of my favorite parts as well, because I know how to read data, and I'm just too lazy for it. I admit it. And that's
you're a nerd, but you're a lazy nerd, the best kind of
nerd. I need more time for gaming. What can I say?
There you go. Exactly.
But I'm also not from a programming background or data analysis or math. Math is not my thing. So I like to use AI to read a lot of data that I don't want to read and maybe don't have time or need some help with. And that's where trend prediction and trend analysis was very interesting for me, because with AI importing CSVs or any kind of exports from your data, doesn't matter if it's Google Analytics or any third-party SEO tool, importing this data into any AI tool that's reading it, maybe then exporting this data visually into charts or however you prefer, or just having AI read and understand what the data means and summarize it in some numbers, is very good to implement in your strategies. Otherwise, maybe you would just be stuck with one type of data. You don't know how to compare it with another type of data, or maybe you don't have time. And then you're just like, okay, yes, I use this data, but I don't have another perspective. And the one that I tested out with BigQuery by Google, it's a very interesting world that I didn't know about because I'm not a data analyst, but I suppose that you guys are using it more in marketing. But exporting data from backlink third-party tool about the history of backlinks, let's say maybe for a competitor, or even if it was your own website, like historical backlinks from the past. Exporting this data and exporting data from, let's say, your own pages from Google Analytics, and engagement on those pages, historical data about the engagement, and putting everything into a machine learning language or just AI that can maybe understand what's going on with the numbers. Can give you can match these time frames and give you heat maps of what happened on your own website, if this corresponds with the changes in your backlink strategy, or You can even spot negative trends. You can maybe spot a penalty that was not manual by Google. You can maybe spot that you were shadow banned. Your traffic was maybe doing good, but you acquired a lot of spam that didn't bring any real clicks to your pages. You were just, in a stuck in your traffic numbers, and you didn't get more clicks from it. Your rankings didn't bring anything good for a while, and it could be related to the backlinks. So it can go a lot of ways, but trend prediction is very fun, and it's very easy to do with this AI rating data tactics. So that's,
Yeah, I think so many people find that data intimidating. Like you said, when you want to literally do the maths or lining up stuff, I always find this interesting conversation I have with clients where, like you said, you'll have one tool that gives you one piece of information and another tool that gives you another piece of information, but they're both talking about your site and your pages. So can't you just line them up? I'm like, yeah, I guess it'll be a long time. Like if I do like a V lookup or like an X lookup on Excel and try and work out how that lines up with this thing and then how that pulls together. And if we're missing one here, that then goes out of order and that breaks the formula and it all goes horribly wrong. Actually being able to combine something like historical backlink data and clicks, sessions, engagement data from GA4 is a brilliant way. I hadn't even thought about that. Like combining that, I know you talked about it in your talk. I hadn't thought about it before you mentioned it when it came to combining different sources to really get an idea of, maybe, I don't know, a competitor has been building spammy links or they have been going in a different direction and a complete shift in strategy. I was having a conversation with an e-commerce client of ours and like, suddenly this competitor's come out of nowhere. They've just appeared in a few of our like SERPs. Where have they come from? I was like, well, they had one piece of content that did really, really, really well, and it has built them a bunch of links. It's got them a bunch of traffic, and that is like their entire pillar piece. It was about, I'm trying to think now. It was they're not called Beanie Babies, but they're like similar kind of things. I'm trying to squishmallows. Okay. Do you know what a squishmallow is?
Yes, I sleep with one.
There you go. You're the target audience here, Tamara. So they.
But I'm not ashamed.
No shame at all. We have one in the office because this client sent me one. Funnily enough. Maybe that'll have to be the thumbnail. It's just our squishmallows. Like
yes.
And exactly. And they had one like I think it was the rarest squishmallows or something like that was this content piece, and it got like 97% of the site's entire traffic or something like that. And I thought, hold on a minute, I can have a look at this. So taking that data and having a look at, okay, what is their site doing? What are they doing differently? How does that relate to organic traffic versus referring domains versus backlinks versus all this kind of stuff? Lining all that stuff up, like I said, manually takes ages. If you can use things like LLMs and AI to speed up that process, you can get an answer so much quicker. You can save yourself so much time and frustration digging around in the numbers and dragging cells around, as I have done many, many times before. And also, I think there's that future-proofing stuff, right? Once you build this process, you can teach the rest of your team. You can show them how to do it. You can build that custom GPT or whatever it is to then be able to do that in the future much, much quicker. It's that time investment that it might take you a little bit longer the first time you do it, but once it's there, you can repeat that process over and over again and get that process going so much smoother and so much quicker in the future.
Yeah. And it's a very good, as you said, investment in the future, and it's good for your own brain. You're not, because for a long time I was fighting against AI in my industry. I was not very happy, even though my whole speaking year this year was mostly about AI topics and how we should embrace AI and use it. But before I tested out like 110%, I didn't really want to do anything publicly with this. And
Yeah,
then
I agree.
I just felt I had a major imposter syndrome using AI. I was unsure if the data was accurate, and back a year or 2 years ago, it was not accurate. Now we're getting there slowly, but you know, um, you still need to be in control of the data, and you still need to check everything. But as you said, it's perfect for uh, cutting a lot of time and preparing your team for different tasks and providing everyone with the same type of tools that they can use, so everybody is aligned. And for me, AI has been, yes, a game changer, but the game is still played by us. So it's just how we use the AI. For now, I use it every day in link building, but I'm not I'm not happy when clients want me to use it for a strategy. It's just, I don't think it will ever be there. Once AI can build a SEO strategy, then my purpose here is done. You know,
We're
it's
all
just,
out of a job, mate. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So we go into Matrix and just role play.
I
But
mean, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Let's just
yeah,
we'll just build the matrix, and we'll just blue pill and just live happy lives in the
yeah,
matrix, ignorant
of
of
course.
the
Ignore
battery
the red
farms there.
red dressed girl and white cat.
I,
But
I'm glad you said that about the strategic side of things. So I think it was something a lot of people. Mark's talk from Search Norwich that happened late last year was a lot of the Google data exploit that we discovered with the AlsoAsked stuff. We had a lot of interesting data from Google around site quality score and all this kind of stuff. And not to call too many people out, but I know Mark has received plenty of messages and emails of being like, what's my site quality score? How do I use this data to make my website better? He's like, that's not the point of the talk. It's not called look at all my cool Google data. It's how to use conceptual models to improve your SEO. Because exactly as you said, Tamara, like it comes from experience, right? You know what works and what doesn't work from the stuff that you've done on your own sites, on client sites, whatever it is, the
yeah,
experiments and tests and strategies that you've implemented before, you know that, oh, I've worked in this industry before. It's very competitive, but I know this has worked with a client previously and we can try something like that. We can evolve it in this way. We can shift it in that way. That is not something that LLMs can currently do because they are repeating what already exists, for want of a better phrase, when it
yeah,
comes to that text-based, the strategic thinking, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of, like I said, take the wrong message away almost of just like, oh yeah, well you can just use it to do everything from start to finish, and you can, yeah, like we said, we can plug ourselves into the matrix and not worry about it. It's like, well, no, while it's not capable of that yet, I think there is a huge value, and that's
yeah,
where, in Mark's word, that's where advanced SEO comes in, is being able to put that all together and build a picture and create that strategy. It's not just the little individual bits that you can kind of click through and whatever else. It's where it all comes together as a wider strategy that you can confidently say to a client, yeah, I think this is going to work. I think this will improve your traffic. I think this will bring you more sales. I think this will bring you more links. Whatever your KPI is, building that model in your head from your experience is where all the power essentially of that SEO strategy comes in the end of it, right?
yes, and um, for me, I try to use it not for making a strategy, because you when you're a startup, you need to invent constantly. You need to invent different tools. You need to implement what's trending right now in the industry. And I had a lot of good conversations with my co-founders, and we talked about implementing AI into our own platform or everyday work. How we can do this, not just because of competition, but just to improve workflow and results. And I didn't say no immediately, but I try to give a bit more time for them to realize how AI actually works in SEO. For now, it only works for this maybe data analysis that we're talking about and content, when in good hands, of course. But everything else is still very unknown and like behind curtains for me, at least. And then the closest area where I could implement AI, maybe like in my head, was to analyze the website for our own inventory. And I thought, okay, this is the data that is accessible to public, and Google is using it for their own categorization, like topical categorization. So it's official. We can use this data. It's not going to be stolen, or we're not breaking any privacy um, laws or anything. And I thought, okay, let's test this out. It's much needed for our own platform. It's a much needed upgrade, uh, and maybe AI can step in and do this for us. So it took over a year to perfect this machine learning process, and a lot of investment as well. But we perfected this categorization system that's working for our own parameters internally, and using the official Google categorization of websites. So it takes the highest standards there are in SEO industry, but it's tailored to us and our users, like our clients and our partners, media partners. So for me, it's a very successful case um, of AI implementation. It's not a direct implementation into SEO, but it's kind of a secondhand implementation. So this is one of the good examples that I experienced. I have a lot of negative ones, but I'm going to go back to the strategy, AI that can create a strategy. Now we have new models of our favorite AI that can access websites and I think I read a statistic today that 1/3 of the websites that Google can crawl, uh, ChatGPT bot can also crawl at the moment. So that's a huge amount of websites. That's for me, that's too much for my own taste. So we can see that AI tools are capable of reading pages, reading websites, getting the information, not only up until 2021, like uh, last year, but they can read fresh data and like real time data. So that changes a lot. And this um, if this AI uh, develops even more, I think it could be able to um, not only read the website, but also categorize it on its own, do the maybe even check the engagement on the website. We never know how far it can go. But without those critical points, I don't think AI would be able to make a strategy without us feeding it with numbers, data, and points of view. So that's good for us for now. But
We still have jobs for now.
yes, we are in charge. But thank you, ChatGPT. Have a nice day.
Gotta always be nice to your machines, just in case they do take over.
Yeah.
Always say please and thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That data point. I think the one you're talking about, we featured it in Core Updates, funnily enough, our newsletter that came out earlier today at time of recording, and it was that ChatGPT now crawls like, I think it was ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude and a few other of the like major AI search bots now crawl like 28% of what Google currently crawls. And it was like just over a billion requests compared to 4.5 billion requests a month. And I was like, That's gotten big very quickly. Like you said, in a matter of a couple of years, this has gone from like, whatever, to actually this is getting pretty serious. And I know there was a discussion of some predictions, and I think we'll finish off with some predictions in a moment, where a lot of people are predicting that ChatGPT search will reach a 1% search market share in 2025 at some point. And that is the first time another search engine has done that in a very, very, very long time, because you've got Google up there in the 90-something%. I think Bing is around like 4 or something like that. And then ChatGPT search will be number 3, basically globally, for market share in terms of searching. So, yeah, changes are coming. The growth is happening, whether we like it or not. The machines will take over. We'll have to retreat to partying in caves in Zion or whatever the hell happens in the second Matrix movie. But
sounds very bad.
Yeah. So let's finish off. I'm gonna put you on the spot and get some predictions from you. What do you think the future of link building looks like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? Do you think, you mentioned earlier, like, maybe this change won't be happening straight away, this will be more of a gradual process. Do you think it's going to be significantly different a couple of years from now? What are you excited and worried about, I guess, over the next few years from a link building perspective?
So I believe that the amount and the dynamics of backlinking is going to stay around the same, because Google is not willing to change their views on backlinks. It's us that need to change our views. So I think they will still be seen in a similar way as in 2024 and before. But as I told you earlier, I believe that user metrics are going to be more important, and I strongly hope that we will see impact scoring, any kind of, not necessarily called like that, but to focus more on the metrics that impact the users, not just third-party SEO tools. The downsides of this would be that maybe a lot of link building agencies will have to either adapt or quit. That's inevitable, unfortunately. But it's good that it's not too big of a change in the future. So if you're doing the link building in a good way, in a proper way, you are already there. So you're just going to, advance a bit more and increase the volume of these tactics. I still believe that we're going to fight the spam tactics more, even more in the future, because my colleagues in Black Hat are working really hard. I'm not undermining their work. They're very capable, very technical, which is funny because, using it in a very risky way. But it's been trendy. A lot of people on the conferences are talking about this, and a lot of clients want to jump on this train still. So I believe that we're going to have to educate the public more about this, how to spot, not how to avoid. Everybody has their own, free will, but how to use it in a more safe way, or just avoid it when you see it. So it's going to be, for me, I think next year or 2 years in links is going to be interesting, more dynamics, more intense than before. But I really believe that we're going to see a new version of backlinks that's a better version of the future.
I like the optimism at the end there, mate. I appreciate that. It's going to be a better version, right?
It's not all dark. Don't worry.
Well, if the listeners and viewers do want to follow you and follow what you guys are doing over at Bazoom, where are the best places to find you, Tamara, and follow you and all the cool work you're doing at the moment?
So, of course, bazoom.com. And my LinkedIn page, you can find me by my name. I think I'm the only one in SEO with this name, so it's going to be easy. I don't have major social media because I'm very easy to fall into a rabbit hole. But yeah, LinkedIn would be the best, and I would be very happy to discuss any link building questions or concerns, or maybe, even talk AI and stuff like that. So I like to discuss this. And yeah, thank you so much for having me as a guest. And I really am happy that there is a platform to talk about this stuff, not only, the content and everything that's trending, but also the backlinks that are kind of stigmatized a bit. So yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure. And we've chatted many times online before, but it's nice to actually finally sit down and have a conversation. Links for your LinkedIn, links to Bazoom, all that kind of stuff will be in the show notes down below. So if you're listening, you're watching, wherever it is, go and follow Tamara. You're doing awesome stuff, interesting studies, and yeah, hopefully making link building a better place for the future, right? Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching or listening, wherever you're watching or listening. Thank you so much to Tamara Novitovic, who joined me on this week's episode. I have got some big plans for 2025 going forward. I've got conversations with people like Itamar Blauer, Stephen Schneider, of course, the monthly fireside chats, essentially, that Mark and I are now having as well. Plenty of other amazing guests coming up, like Danny Leitner, like Sarah Deacon, so many others. I've got guests all the way through to March at this point. I'm well booked ahead of myself. I'm very excited for a variety of different topics we're talking about and a variety of different guests I'm joined by as well. Of course, I'm here every single week. I'll be back next week in the usual spot. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. Please do leave us a review on Spotify. Send comments on Spotify. You can actually comment on video episodes and leave feedback and stuff directly that I can reply to on the YouTube comment section and the Spotify comment section as well. So if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, any feedback, please do let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you once again for watching and listening all the way to the end. I appreciate you who watch and listen right until my little outro sections here. And like I said, I will see you next week. Have a lovely week.